was crazy because we were going into the season like, man, this might be like special, you know what I'm saying? And then it was like we couldn't really protect him, and it's like you can't expect anybody to be successful with the pocket looking like it was last year on our team on a week in, week out basis. So I'm hoping that they can just get that dude a chance because right when he got his bag, like he just got there with no protection. So I don't think he really got a fair shot to really improve upon his play. So I'm hoping that he can get that chance.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It is a Wisdom Wednesday presented by DraftKings, with the wisdom today coming from Darren Waller. What a career he had. He's only 31, I think, just retired after 8 seasons in the NFL. There was a lot of speculation all offseason whether or not he would return to the Giants or retire. Looking forward to the interview with Darren momentarily. Should be able to announce some new winners tomorrow, by the way. Those of you spreading the word via social media, at Ross Tucker NFL, at Ross Tucker Pod, or YouTube comments, or even those of you that are taking advantage of any of our sponsors. But you got to email me, ross@rosstucker.com, so I see you do it. It's Big Show time.
The Big Show.
I think this is the second time I've had him on. Actually, it was a couple years ago that I had him on after we met at the broadcast boot camp. And then I launched the campaign to get him a new contract with the Raiders, which worked, by the way. And he got that new contract. Talking about my guy, Darren Waller, who recently retired from the NFL after 8 years. I guess I'll ask you this first, Darren. Is there any part of you that is missing or wishing you were at training camp right now?
Nah, man. I actually saw a clip, I want to say, was it Sunday or Saturday maybe? I was cutting on trying to find the Olympics, and I saw something about training camp, and I saw like the Vikings, the quarterbacks were thrown into the net. I was like training camp is really, really happening right now. And I'm like, yeah, I couldn't do it, man. I've done enough training camps.
So tell me about that. So what was, 'cause I know you retired. I know you're doing music, and we're going to get into that because I'm excited to hear about that. I've seen some of the videos and stuff, but when did you know it was time, and what was the reasoning behind it?
I mean, I came to my decision in the summer, but evaluating through most of the off season, I was leaning towards retirement the whole way. I was just trying to evaluate, like, is this a little bit premature? Is this emotional due to frustrations with the game, or is this kind of like true burnout? And like, I gave it all that I had and played, honestly longer than, I may have wanted to, because, there's, when you're in your prime, there's pressure to continue and to try to find new levels of greatness. So there's a lot of things considered, but I realized that, just purely to the game and to the process of football and all that it requires, I don't have 100% to give to that. I don't think I have 100%, close to 100% to give to that, and I don't think that's fair to the people that love watching me play, the teams that I play for, the guys that I line up with, coaches that game plan for me. I just don't think it's fair to them or myself.
When you mentioned the frustrations, obviously, you had such an interesting career. We talked about it before. I mean, there were a couple years there, man, like you were as good as anybody, any weapon there was in the NFL. We know about, your first few years, and then the last few years, kind of the injuries. Was it the injuries? Was it being with a Giants team that had a lot of issues? What were the frustrations, I guess, this time?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of all the frustration pretty much dealing with the injuries, because you have like the 2019, 2020 seasons, and like halfway through 2021, the pace that was on, it's like, to have those seasons after that be curbed by injury is like hella frustrating, because like on that trajectory, I'm like, okay, like I'm having like guys like Tim Brown and Marcus Allen tell me that I'm going to be one of the greatest ever play. And it's like, you have those moments, and then it's like, dang, like injuries happen. And then it's like this weirdness throughout the whole time of like, man, like I'm really good at this game, but it's like love and just like overwhelming joy for playing, like it's still tough for me to just kind of get going most days. I can just I've worked hard enough to put my skill at a certain level. So it's a bunch of things at play, but really like the injuries were the frustrating part because my work ethic never changed, process never changed, what I devoted to recovery never changed, and to have them go the way that it did is just like
What when you talk about your career and being done, I mean, it sounds like you're done, but I'm sure you'll get a call at some point during camp or maybe even during the season when a tight end goes down. I mean, receiving tight ends that are weapons like you don't grow on trees, right?
right.
So somebody gets an injury, like if the Chiefs, if something happened to Kelsey, Andy Reid's calling you, dude. Like he's calling you. What is there any chance in the right situation that you would consider it?
Um, man, right at this very moment, no, I don't. I don't know what could happen. I don't know what God has in store, but I know for me, I'm done. Like I have no idea, no interest to want to play. Like I love working out still. I still train. I keep in shape for myself, but the thought of like training and running routes because I had to build a foundation up. Like none of that just sounds attractive whatsoever, man. I'm loving my life right now.
Well, tell me about that. What are you loving so much about it?
Yeah, man, I'm just getting to do things that I've only been able to like give scraps of time to that I've always loved, always felt drawn to, like music, getting out hiking, seeing new places. Like I booked a trip to Japan in September for my birthday, so I'm going out there 10 days by myself. Um, yeah, just really finding out who I am because I feel like I've been playing the game of football since I was 4 years old. There's a lot of things you're on a certain schedule your whole life, and so everything kind of revolves around that. But yeah, spending time around my family. My sister had a nephew. He's 3 months old, about to be 4 months old. So getting to be an uncle, just new experiences, man. So it's been fun, man. But it's definitely a grieving process because football has done so much for me. It's been so much a part of my routines and who I am and like how I just base my life. So just dealing with those emotions as well.
It's funny, Darren. I really struggled with that. I hurt my neck my last year, and I said to the doctor, "What do you think?" And he said, "I think you're 28 and you went to Princeton. You should get a real job." I herniated a disc in my neck and bruised my spinal cord, and it was like not my decision to go from being a football player my whole life to like it was just over.
Yeah.
And the only thing I could do is I went psycho into a diet, and I went from like 318 in late August to 248 by Christmas. Like I lost whatever that is, 70 pounds. Because that was sort of how I funneled my grieving, my frustration, sort of the unknown of what was next, all those things, right? Like I funneled. I'd heard like as an O lineman, like if you don't lose the weight right away, you're not gonna. So like I funneled it all into that.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're funneling yours into a bunch of different things, whether it's music or travel or whatever.
Yeah, man, that's a real thing because we don't devoted so much of our lives and our energy and time to ourselves and invested so much into it, and then to have it, be done. Like I'm probably one of the blessed few that's able to just be like, you know what, this is what I choose to do. Like
Yeah.
I try to put myself in the shoes of guys that the game was taken from them and the amount of pain and confusion and other emotions that may be stacked upon what I'm feeling. But yeah, it's difficult. As much as I'm like happy with my decision, it's like yeah, the game did a lot for me. That locker room environment with guys it will be tough to replicate. You got to be intentional in trying to create that, and nobody's gonna you're gonna have a strength coach in the gym with you or in my garage with me. It's just me and myself working out. So it's there's shifts and there's changes and things to deal with because especially and for a big thing for me honestly is like the validation that came from the game and being successful and because most of my life I was getting in trouble and like not a lot of validation, just guys like this guy's tripping. So the validation from football, it did a lot for me. So it's like now it's like, okay, like is that all I'm attributing me and my worth to is some of the work that I do now in my therapy.
No. Totally got it. And it's interesting too, Darren. Like you got the chance, as you said, to make the choice to leave. The Giants obviously still wanted you. Other teams will want you, and you also made a lot of money, right? Like you're in a very comfortable position. Think about the guys that it's not their choice for it to be over, and they made the minimum for 5, 6, 7, however many years, and so they need to work. Like, that, not that they're, they should be in a pretty good spot, I would hope, but still, it's not the same as, the contract I got you, um, or the contracts you got. No, let me hear. Okay, first of all, I want to get to the music, but you said you were going to Japan for 10 days by
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah.
And I'm so intrigued. Like, why Japan? Why by yourself? Like, what? Tell me what you're gonna do. I'm fascinated by that.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like I share with people that be like outdoors, like on my social media and stuff. But I do a lot of things. Like I go places by myself. Like I'll go hike by myself. When the season ended, I went out to Death Valley in a van that I rented on Outdoorsy and was just out there for 3 days by myself. It's just something that I don't know gets me in touch with me because I feel like I've always been somebody that's always trying to be in the mix or worrying about what people are thinking about me. So it's like those kind of things help me ground and be like, okay, like, you know, work on myself, try to get closer to God, like just settle in and just it's really something I enjoy. So in Japan has always been something on my list. Just like the culture out there. They got the city, they got the mountains and the temples, so they got like different environments. I'm really fascinated by like Asian culture and just like their principles, like their level of like discipline, stuff like that. So I really want to go out there and see that because I've only ever been to like Mexico and Dominican Republic, uh, for a little vacay. So I'm excited to see the world a little bit.
That is awesome. That is really really cool. Side note: only been to Japan once. Played a preseason game there. That's how
Oh,
old I am, dude. 2002. We played the Niners in Osaka, Japan,
damn.
and it was kind of wild. That's a long way to go for a preseason game, man. A long way to go for any game.
Facts.
Tell me about the music because you started this a couple months ago, and I think you just had a new video drop, right?
Yeah, I dropped a new video this morning. So it's been cool, man. I mean, shoot, I've been the moment I started making music was like the day after I got drafted to the Ravens in 2015. Because I was up there in Owens Mills and I was bored and not really around a lot of guys. Like I was like, I was doing drugs back then, so I wasn't really trying to have people in my business. So I just started writing back then and didn't let people know I was making music the first couple years, and then connected with some guys back home in Georgia where I was from that produced and made music and had studios at their house, and so it kind of took off from there. And I've been putting out. I think my first project I put out was in 2017, and then like almost like every 2 years from there I put something out. But it's something I love doing, man. Like I can tell I got the music gene from like my great grandfather being who he was. I think it skipped everybody in my family until it got to me because when I was a kid, I was playing piano and in band and reading music and all this stuff. So it's always been something that I love. But like football takes center stage and takes a lot of your time. So I was trying to devote it all to that. But yeah, man, I'm excited to just see what this path holds for me. If it just teaches me some lessons and becomes a hobby, then that is what it is. But I'm excited to be on it.
That's awesome. My daughters both play the piano and sing. I have no idea what like I hear them talking with their teacher. I have no idea what they're talking about. It's like a totally different language. I mean, I can't help them even it's like a foreign language. I have no idea whatsoever what they're talking. It's kind of cool actually to have a 12 and 11-year-old that are way better and more knowledgeable in an area than I've ever been or ever will be. It's like it's cool. And I tell them that really cool. Are there any similarities between music and football?
Um, wow, great question. Yeah, I believe so because there's a lot of parts that got to be working together, right? So it's like me, I'm the artist, like I write, I make beats sometimes too, but I love like collaborating with other producers. But it's like you're with the producer and you're collaborating, communicating with them on how you think the intro of a track should sound with the instruments and the sounds, like the verse, the bridge, like all these different things. And you're trying to construct that with them, and then when you're recording, you're practicing a lot of reps. Like it's very rare that these people are just how the song sounds on the radio. They're doing it in one take. It's a whole bunch of takes. You're putting different effects on it, making different tweaks to different parts on your vocals, like. And so I attribute that to football because it's like you're collaborating. Like you got to have a relationship with your quarterback. Got to be talking about the little nuances of routes. You got to be on the same page with your coach. Like your coach has got to know like what routes you run well, positions to put you in. And that's like some of the producers I work with, they know my ear for beats now and things that I want to write on, sing on, rap on. Like, so it's all a community environment. You can't do it by yourself. Like football, like if one guy messes up on his job by an inch or a millimeter, like that play could get destroyed. And but then I think with music, it's like it's rarely just the artist. Like there's people that are writing for the artist sometimes. You got producers, you got people that are going into creative strategy with the songs and how you're trying to package it up. Like there's no way you can do anything by yourself. You need a team and you need to have relationships. I feel like it's the main part that compares with football.
Have you watched any of the Giants off-season Hard Knocks, or are you aware that, like in their meetings they would talk about you, or that the GM would say for the skill guys, well, we still got Waller at tight end with Belly. Like, do you know anything about that?
I know they were on off-season Hard Knocks. I did not watch any of it. I think I met up with one of the assistant coaches randomly, and I don't know, she showed us something where Dable was like quizzing Jaden Daniels or something. It was like a little clip, but I didn't watch any of it, no.
Yeah, okay, because there was like a couple times they mentioned your name, and I think it was free agency maybe, or what it was like before they were going to move on from Saquon,
Right.
and they were saying like, well, we still got, for in terms of like skill guys, what do we have? And well, we still got Waller and Belly at tight end and whoever they said at receiver or whatever. So it's just funny because it seemed like they, at least at that point, they still thought you were going to be a part of what they were doing. You played for several teams. Just out of curiosity, your thoughts on the Giants organization or your time with them?
Yeah, I like the Giants a lot. I mean, you could tell like the ownership and the people upstairs are like very present. I think that was the first team I was on. They like paid for your massages and acupuncture and all those little things. Like took that off of your plate. Yeah, I mean they just do things the right way. The way they treat families, like for like coming up for training camp and getting all that set up. Like it's just those little things that matter. That they show they care about individual players. And Dave's and Shane, like those guys are trying to do the best they can to build a great organization. They care about players. They're interested in guys' opinions. Like they're trying to be open, not trying to act like they know everything. Yeah, man, it was a good environment, man. Like things didn't go well, and from the outside looking in, it looked like a lot needs to be changed, and that's true. Like things need to be improved upon, but I think the environment, especially like the locker room with guys that were there, and what the coaches try to do to try to make that bridge with the players and build that connection, I think they do a good job, and this will be a big year for them, and I hope they can really make it happen.
Wait, they pay for your guys' massages?
Yeah, massages and acupuncture was taken care of. I was in there twice a week.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
bringing it up.
I never had a team that paid for massages. Dude, I've told the story on the show before. When I played for the Cowboys, I think it was $300 a week, maybe $150 that they would payroll deduct from your check for lunch. For lunch.
Oh no.
And I said to the money guy, I'm like, what is this minus 150 or 300? He's like, that's for lunch. I'm like, what? But first of all, it's junk. It's like fried chicken and mashed potatoes. I'm like, so you tell me if I just pack, what happens if I just pack a turkey and cheese sandwich instead? And he was like he had no idea, Darren, how to respond. It was just like, it was like $300 for horrible, unhealthy lunch. I couldn't. The Cowboys, the Dallas Cowboys.
That's insane.
Crazy. You didn't get a chance to work with Daniel Jones that much, did you?
I did for that full off season from when I got there, first got traded there. We went to Arizona, had like a throwing trip, and then through that whole off season, we threw a whole bunch, man. That off season, it was crazy because we were going into the season like, man, this might be like special, you know what I'm saying? And then it was like we couldn't really protect him, and it's like you can't expect anybody to be successful with the pocket looking like it was last year on our team on a week in, week out basis. So I'm hoping that they can just get that dude a chance because right when he got his bag, like he just got there with no protection. So I don't think he really got a fair shot to really improve upon his play. So I'm hoping that he can get that chance.
Last question, the music thing. You said something interesting. It feels like when athletes get into music, there are people that think, oh, he thinks he's a rapper now, or he thinks he's this now, right? And, he thinks he's going to go big. You said something so interesting. You're not really looking at it that way. Like, you just enjoy it and kind of whatever happens, happens. You said something like, if it just teaches me lessons and is a cool experience, that's cool.
Yeah, man, I genuinely love making music. If nobody was checking for anything that I was doing, if that day ever comes, like I will still be at my house cooking up a beat, writing something, like trying to make something shake because it's just in my blood and I love doing it. And yeah, you're right. Because a lot of people are like, "Oh man, he's rapping now." Like he trying.
Yeah. It's
It's
like
like
the
that.
stereotypical retired athlete, But
Yeah,
I know you enough now to know that's not really you.
yeah. You get a chance to be around me. Like I'm all about just being around people, trying to make a difference, and doing what I love to do. And this is something that I'm gonna take the same work ethic, same habits into doing this as I would anything else that I do. So yes, that's real.
All right, so how can people follow you or find your music? Give me like the update so people can check you out.
Yeah, man. Darren Waller, of course. Instagram is Rack Wall, two Ks on Rack and Wall. YouTube, just search my name. Got a new video dropped today. A song I got called All in Your Head, which I dropped a 2-pack of songs called Mind Games. One song's Mind Games, the other's All in Your Head. And yeah, that's on Spotify, it's on Apple, it's wherever you get your music. Go check it out. We got videos, we got content. So yeah, tap in.
That's awesome, man. Good luck. Enjoy non-training camp. Enjoy Japan. I hope the music career takes off, and if it doesn't, you're happy and content anyway. Thanks, Darren. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you, Ross. Grateful.
Love talking with Darren. Love drinking Labatt Blue Lights with friends, family, living life to the power of we. Always enjoy responsibly. Delicious beer. Just has that nice flavor. Labatt USA, Buffalo, New York.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, we had a couple big contracts come out over the last few days. Bears, they signed wide receiver DJ Moore to a huge 4-year, $110 million deal, while the Lions, they signed offensive tackle Taylor Decker to a 3-year, $60 million extension for over $31 million guaranteed.
Man, it is good to be a wide receiver these days, isn't it? I mean, it is good to be a wide receiver. This is now DJ Moore's third big contract. First round pick, gets the second contract. Now he gets a third bite at the apple. That is awesome. It's an interesting side note for DJ. He wasn't even one of Imhotep's like 3 best players when he played there in Philly. I don't know if you remember that, Jack. He was not like one of their 3 best players. He was like an afterthought. And Taylor Decker, that might be his 4th contract. It's at least his 3rd. So a couple of guys that are really going to be set for life and then some from their football careers. I love it.
On the opposite end, you can add Patriots edge rusher Matthew Judon and Bucks offensive tackle Tristan Wirf as the latest 2 players holding in and not practicing as they await new contracts.
So the Wirfs one seems amicable in Tampa. Seems like they're going to get it done, although I've seen reports that they're far apart, but I think they'll get it done. The Judon one, he was practicing. All of a sudden, he stopped. Now it feels like it's kind of getting contentious there. Nobody saw him yesterday. It's interesting.
And we've got some injury news. Cowboys edge rusher Sam Williams, he is done for the year with a torn ACL, while Patriots defensive tackle Christian Barmore, he is out indefinitely with blood clots.
Blood clots does not sound good. Barmore, is one of the Patriots' best players, period, bar none, bar more. I would say out of their top 5 players, he's probably in there. Certainly Judon is as well. So not good for the Patriots up front right now with Barmore and Judon. I don't know when you come back from blood clots. And then Sam Williams, probably the 3rd best edge rusher for the Cowboys after DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. So they lose depth there. Can't move Micah around as much. That's not real good either. I think we're done here.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. I told you guys, sending an autograph out today to one of you podcast listeners that got a story for a loved one via myfrontpagestory.com. It's Jason Davidson. Congratulations, Jason. I'll hopefully get that out today or tomorrow. Big fan as well of backofficeschedule.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.